Tracking multiple storms coming our way for this new work and school week. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, tracking an active weather pattern that will shape up for the middle of the work week. We've got some dry weather right now, but chilly mornings, and we're going to continue to stay below average with the week ahead calling for more rain returning for the midweek outlook, as well as a fairly low snow elevation. We'll talk about that in the details as far as these incoming weather systems. Now, initially, we're going to see that snow line at about 5,500 feet on Tuesday evening. It is going to lower to about 3,000 feet, eventually down to about 2,500 feet. But most of the accumulation actually happening above 4,000 feet. It's just kind of nice to know when we have those low snow lines to know how low those chain controls may in fact go, because it's always slow going over the summits when we have to deal with the chains pretty low in elevation. Now, all of this taking shape as that blast of cold air came in over the weekend, really dropped those afternoon highs considerably. Storms this week will line up with Tuesday and Wednesday, a break on Thursday. Then we get back to the action on Friday and Saturday with that snow level again roughly at about 4,000 feet for accumulation, but periodically dropping to about 2,500 to 3,000 feet. And those cold temperatures, they're going to stick around with that storm track well to the south of us here, allowing all of that Arctic air to just kind of pool on in. Here you can see how January has started off with fairly mild conditions. It wasn't until we got to that Saturday forecast that we dropped those temperatures well below average. We were at 59 on Friday, dropped to 49 on Saturday, and that blast of cold air kind of sticks around here for the next several days. A look at Palisades, Tahoe. Nice to see this snowfall. It has been a really slow start to the ski and snowboarding season with very little snow coming in. A lot of these systems just kind of fizzling out here across the West Coast for us in California. This is up at Palisades, like I said, where they got roughly about 17 inches of snow in a 24-hour period. Sugar Bowl, big winner there at 18 inches. Dodge Ridge at 14 inches and slightly over 13 at the Sierra Snow Lab. Boreal, 13 inches of snow. Kirkwood, 11, as well as Sierra Tahoe. Blue Canyon at 6 inches. And then Quincy, not necessarily a ski resort, but one of those towns that we have a pretty good population, 4 inches of snow that they were kind of dealing with throughout the course of the weekend. As far as our Sierra snow water equivalent, now keep in mind with one caveat, this was actually last Friday before some of the snow came in. We needed some of that snow, especially when you look at these numbers, only sitting at about 25 to 37% of average, bringing that statewide average to date at 33%. That snow we melt down over the course of the spring months, fill our reservoirs, and it helps to feed us with water throughout the dry summer season. January happens to be one of the bigger months that we see our snowfall go up. This is the average you can see kind of peaking here in January. Still decent in February. By March and April, things start to dwindle for our snowfall in the Sierra. This is the time that we like to track that active weather pattern, especially because we need these weather systems to come in the next couple of months, because after that, things really start to dry out. Here's the weather system brewing out in the Pacific right now. It has a decent moisture tap, but overall, it isn't going to be a totally robust weather system. That one, it looks like it gears up for Friday into Saturday. A dry, cold start to our work week, and then Tuesday, we see showers reappear in the outlook with that snow line about 5,500 feet, again dropping to roughly about 3,000 feet on Wednesday, and then drying out again on Thursday before we start to track that next weather system. Winter storm watch goes into place late on Tuesday. Will continue through early Thursday morning. These are the areas affected. And again, this will be some lower elevation snow. Some of the higher elevations will be looking out for any kind of watches, warnings, advisories that get posted. As far as total accumulation, we'll pick up another about 1 to 17 inches of snow. In some areas, we could get roughly about 2 feet of snow. Still pretty early in the game to determine how much we're actually going to pick up out of that. About 1/10 of an inch of rain for the valley, 1/4 of an inch or so for the foothills. Not the best rain producer for us, but at this point in the year, we really need the snow, say more than the rain, because that snow is what's going to carry us through the dry summer months. The initial band of rain starts to come in through here on Tuesday and snow for the Sierra. So if your travel plans take you up into the high country, just be prepared. By Tuesday morning, we're going to be dealing with snow that lingers into our Wednesday through much of the day. Rain will kind of come and go for the valley. It'll be hit and miss showers, but the snow also along I-5 if you plan to go northbound on I-5. Be prepared for potential of chain controls as well and some snow for the coastal range. This all gets out of here by late on Wednesday through early Thursday. We're back to a dry forecast before we start to track our next weather system. Now, if you're not really loving this cold weather, likely warmer outlook is in the forecast by the middle of the month. That cooler air looks like it is going to be retreating more to the north, but a likely wetter weather pattern continuing through much of the month of January. And again, we really like to see this pattern shaping up in this month because this is one of the last months that we really see a super active Pacific. In terms of the next 7 days, most of the rain is going to be really bull-nosed into the Pacific Northwest as it has through much of this winter, but at least we're getting some precipitation coming our way. Atmosphere river forecast where you can kind of see the water vapor in the atmosphere. Tuesday, we see that nice plume of moisture coming through, and that will continue into our Wednesday forecast. And then here comes that next one due in Friday into Saturday. Nice little fetch of moisture coming in from the Pacific. It'll be out of here by Sunday, and then we've got more coming in. But at that point, during the middle of the month, it does appear that that storm track perhaps heads a little bit farther to the north. A little too early to tell, but something that we're going to be tracking because we need that pipeline to continue to feed us with that moisture all the way through the month. In terms of sheer numbers, statewide precipitation looks fairly decent, but when we look at the deficits, they continue to grow. We just didn't really bank on too much in December, and January started off a little bit slower than what we would like to see. Nice to get through some of the holiday travel with any really severe storms, but on the flip side of that, our numbers are a little bit lower at this point. Here's a look at our water supply, and currently our reservoirs are sitting above average, with most of the reservoirs a little bit low at this point in the season. Water managers have to keep that water level on the lower side to reduce our flood risk, especially during the wetter time of year. But in terms of what we have in there, we're above average because of so much rain and snow last year. Wednesday is when the bigger part of the system comes through again. So that's just the first one in the pipeline. The second one coming through are late Friday into Saturday. This one looks like it has some decent moisture for at least better rainfall for the valley. Snow will be a little bit higher in elevation come Saturday, but again, decent enough to give us some snow for our Sierra ski resorts. But like I said, by that next Wednesday into our middle of the month, we start to see that storm track perhaps go a little bit farther to the north. We'll be tracking that to see if we can keep that storm line going. I wanted to show you three different timelines here, and this is our northern, central, and southern Sierra. And what I wanted to note out of this, because why do our reservoirs look so good and why are we still sitting in an okay place, is because of what happened last year. For the central and southern Sierra, we had one of the biggest snow packs that we've ever seen, beating our 1982-83 previous record. Now, for the northern Sierra, it wasn't quite as high as what we saw in 82-83, but you can see the central and southern Sierra really with those New Year's Eve storms, and then even following subsequent storms that hit through the month of January pumped that snowpack up so high. This year, a little bit lower. We're right here in the dark blue. I know it's a little bit hard to read on this graph, but I did want to show you why we're sitting so far above average for our reservoirs when we really haven't had that much in the way of active weather patterns come through for the month of December and early January. On to the sheer numbers of how chilly it's going to be tomorrow. We start off with single digits for the Sierra. Highs will warm into the 30s, 40s to near 50 for the foothills. Along the coast, we get to highs in the 50s, and we'll carry those 50s inland. However, we start off with morning lows right around the freezing mark. Kind of a rough way get back to work and school if you had last week off, perhaps for the holiday. We get back to more snow for the Sierra Tuesday into Wednesday. And again, late Friday, we'll see the rain picking up for the foothills, and for the coast, we'll also see those showers midweek. And again, for the upcoming weekend forecast. Beyond that, we get another weather system perhaps by the following Wednesday. We're tracking that. Overall, a chilly week for us here, getting back to near average, though, as we head towards the middle of next week. That is a look at our forecast. If you want to continue to watch in-depth forecasts just like this, make sure to download our ABC 10 app with a weather playlist that includes mega flood, water wasted. Those are bigger series with more investigative weather pieces, as well as our California drought series. It's always on, live, local. You can watch for free on Apple TV and Roku, as well as Fire TV. Hope you have a great day.